Right now, we're about to bring up Maimoona Youssef. She is a Grammy nominated singer, MC, songwriter, activist, and acclaimed hip hop artist. Maimoona, aka Mumu Fresh, has been called a quadruple threat by the Roots Black Thought and groundbreaking by Oscar winning artist Common. She is currently a Sacred Cipher creative on Iman's artist roster. Her artistry draws on her rich activist history and Afro Native roots and has captivated audiences around the globe. In 2019, Maimoona performed her soul-stirring song, "Say My Name" at BET's Black Girls Rock. And so now I give to you, Maimoona Youssef.
Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, in the spirit of Brother Malcolm. Tola al-Badru alayna min taniyat al-watan وجب الشكر علينا مدى ليدا طلع البدر علينا من طليعة الوداع وجب الشكر علينا متى ليدا طلع البدر علينا من طليعة الوداع وجب الشكر علينا متى ليدا طلع البدر علينا من طليعة الوداع وجب الشكر علينا متى ليدا طلع البدر علينا من طليعة الوداع وجب الشكر علينا متى ليدا شرق البدر This next piece I want to share with you is a song I call Inkpata, but the true Inkpata really, it comes from the American Indian Wars. And it tells the story of the women who wave their shawls at the top of the mountain waiting for their husbands to come home from war. And if they don't return, they wave their shawls until they became one with the wind. And it's a story of our martyrs, and also how our legacy, our people, our culture lives on, through the stories, through the songs. And no martyr is ever dead. Energy just renews and recycles and becomes the next generation. Impata nawache chichoze maya echekuena. Impata nawache maya echekuena. Impata nawache chichoze maya echekuena. Impata nawache chichoze maya echekuena. Impata nawache chichoze maya echekuena. I am the daughter of freedom fighters and farmers and bootleggers and number runners, copper color like clay swag who live in Indian summers. Blooded by oracles and seers and water pourers and healers. Once warriors, now killers and drug dealers. Black Mississippi, Choctaw Creek. But raised in Baltimore, so my vernaculars from the streets. We move carefully. My pack of wolves, they care for me, prayerfully. You'll only lose a limb fooling around with them. We are the product of a gypsy and a kingpin. I exist somewhere between Egypt and Sing Sing, born to be a revolutionary since a weed thing. Rebellion is the memory of the memories I was drinking. I am the product of prayers and potions and heartbreak and devotion. I come from gorgeous women who cut and shoot and don't even say sorry later. Short-tempered and easily provoked. We possess spirits, conjure worlds, see the future, clutch our pearls. Stay hella woke. See, I was born to bring a little more light into the world. And that's why you see so much fight in your girl. Because Allah's work is gangster. And I got so much more to be thankful. I am Mississippi fresh, clay, dirt, bones, ashe. Tobacco-filled prayers, sweet grass and peyote. I survived the trail of tears and slavery. This here's what you call unmatched bravery. And if you want this blessing on your stages, it ain't all about the money, but baby, you're gonna have to pay me. Say we call it reparations. I learned to sing not in school, but in ways you may not understand. Singing ain't about songs, it's about sound and the laying on of hands. I watched my grandmother pull pain from the aching bodies of sobbing grown men with a sound that started in her pit and escaped her lips and made them whole again. We blacken. This red and black blood, it runs so deep. Ooh, this red and black blood, it runs so deep. This ceremony, this sacrifice is better than you can even teach. Let you crawl back into the healing love. Black womb, to rebirth yourself brand new. And learn that we are just spiritual beings. Having this here human experience. And nothing else is even true. We are just spiritual beings having a human experience. And nothing else is even true. But if you just wait in the water, wait in the water, children. Oh. God gonna trouble, don't you know God's gonna trouble, my Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum. Unless you want me to sing a little more in the background.
Peace. Okay, so we are in the midst of we are having some technical difficulties. We're about to run a video about Malcolm X as a Muslim that you will see shortly. Um, and it's interesting because one of the things that I think we're also lucky to have is any footage of Malcolm. You know, it's very interesting when you see Malcolm, um, everything from his posture, the wisdom that he brings, the confidence in his eyes when he's speaking with people who disagree with him, but that confidence is not laced with hatred or anger. You know, his smile. You know, when you look at his smile was magic, man. His smile was magic, and it's very powerful. To get to experience him in different ways. You know, when I was working on trying to become a public speaker, he was the first person I studied. He was the first person I studied. And this was an era before YouTube. So you had to go and actually find somebody. You know, it was a big deal to know somebody that had Malcolm X audio or video back in the day. You know, will you share some of your memories of Malcolm, either seeing footage or listening to records?
I like that you brought up this idea of the footage we have because I think it's really interesting, especially if we look at the little snippet of his speech in the 60s where he blatantly states, "Who taught you to hate yourself?" It outlines all the systems, right? And all the things
Yeah.
that are preventing us from being our true, authentic, beautiful Black selves. Just this huge time difference, right, between then and now, but how his words still remain true, how these are
Right.
still questions that we're talking about. And so it's a very interesting time capsule that allows us not only to go back, but to sort of measure what's changed and what still remains, right? What we still have work to do on.
Yep. Okay, I believe this video is ready to go.
Or
Still
not,
rocking.
or not, or
You know what I'm saying?
it's not ready.
it's it's uh, it's all new technologies as we navigate this pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So we appreciate your patience. Um,
Let's travel back. So I want to
yes.
thank Maimoona for her performance. She is a gift. Her creativity is a gift. And I,
So beautiful.
yeah,
The soul in it, right? I think
all
it's
of it.
interesting. I think it's so interesting the response that you feel when a singer with soul is, you know, sharing their spirit with you is very powerful.
But also like her decision to intentionally use her art as a form of healing and activism. You know, and part of this event has been us partnering with Iman to amplify Muslim artists, in this case, Black Muslim artists,
Hmm.
and not as entertainment, which we tend to do in the Muslim community, right? So not as ornaments, but really acknowledging that artists are teachers and healers and activists and
Yes.
community workers, right? And artists have always been a part of the movement. And so we're really grateful to partner with Iman, but we're also grateful for them being intentional about lifting up creativity, lifting up artists as people who are capable of transforming space, time, and the world.
No, absolutely. It's really important, and it's also interesting when you look at Malcolm's mm, journey in the hearts and minds of Black America, like the role that hip hop played
Hmm.
in such a massive wave. I mean, it's hard to explain to young people now what his impact was like in 1988. It's hard to uh, share with people what it was like when you went outside and like everybody had an X hat or a shirt or a, you know what I mean?
Or
And you were
medallion.
considered, yeah,
Italian.
or medallion, African medallions, like, and it was like, yo, like if you didn't know who he was, know something of his work, it was very hard to um be respected. You know, it was almost like you might not be a total human being if you didn't know who Malcolm X was, you know. Um I was lucky because my father, even though I grew up in a even though I grew up in a Christian household, my father had Message to the Grassroots and he had Ballads or Bullets on as records. And
Hmm.
so he would play them for me as young as 9 years old, you know, and
That's
those
powerful.
records
A lot of
had a
people
pro. Here we go.
was becoming an integrationist, which was not true. He had gone to Mecca and he had merely uh, written about what he saw, and people reported it as if he had gone there and planted these people there. So this was an observation on his part, and he was not in the least becoming an integrationist. His role was forever to fight for Black freedom. He wanted to raise the level of the struggle from one of civil rights to one of human rights, and he felt that civil rights confined our struggle or our fight for freedom to the borders of the United States. And if we internationalized our struggle, if we got allies, and everyone realized the importance of getting allies. Even this country in the Revolutionary War, they sent people all over forming correspondence committee to explain their plight to the world and trying to get allies. And I think the French and the British and Spain joined this country in helping her win her independence. And just like they needed allies, you know, the black people needed allies. And I think this was one of the reasons for his trips.
I think a lot of people are confused by the new Arabic name, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz.
I've always had the name on my passport, Malik El Shabazz, I only used it in the Muslim world. Well, Hajj is a title that is given to any Muslim who makes the pilgrimage to Mecca during the official Hajj season.
Well, will you now use Shabazz and drop X?
I'll probably continue to use Malcolm X and I'll probably use it as long as the situation that produced it exists.
You don't feel that Shabazz takes the place of X?
My going to Mecca and going into the Muslim world, into the African world, and being recognized and accepted as a Muslim and as a brother may solve the problem for me personally. But I personally feel that my personal problem is never solved as long as the problem is not solved for all of our people in this country. So I remain Malcolm X as long as there is a need to protest and struggle and fight against the injustices that our people are involved in this country.
Are you prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh, yes. Please. Right in my chair. The audience will have to be quiet.